Hallo miteinander, I'm Geshady6 and this is the Let's Play Summer Blockbuster. For week 2 we are playing Sonic 2, a game that almost everybody should have heard of. However, we are playing it with a twist. This is a save state challenge. We had to load up this save state that you're seeing now at the start of Chemical Plant Zone. Pretty much the third stage of the game. Well, the second world, you could say. And that is not all there is to this challenge. It is one of the notorious score challenges. We don't have style points this time. Instead, we are in direct competition with each other. Whoever gets the most score in this game, in these 15 minutes, will get the most style points. It really doesn't matter if we play sloppy, as long as we get many points. Now you may be wondering, how do you really make points in Sonic? Well, one of the best ways is of course to beat any stage in under 30 seconds. That gives you a huge time bonus of 50,000. However, I'm not able to do that at all. I don't know this game so well that I could pull that off. So my best bet is playing a lot of special stages. And you're seeing one of these trippy special stages right now. The first one here is still very easy. There's barely anything that can screw you up. Instead, you can just look at the rings, pick them up as they pop up, and you'll be doing fine. You enter these special stages by collecting 50 rings in a level, keeping them until you find a checkpoint, and then going through the portal that appears on touching them. The checkpoints in Sonic 2 are sometimes even hidden, not something you'd expect from checkpoints. In other games, usually they're directly on the way, but not in Sonic. So, playing these special stages really pays off score-wise, because, as you will see, when you beat them and get the Chaos Emerald, you get a whopping 10,000 point bonus. And not only that, you also keep 100 points for each ring that you picked up, and that's almost 20,000 as well, usually. So, we're not really done yet with how scoring in Sonic works. Apart from these special stages, there's, as I've said, a time bonus that becomes kind of negligible as soon as you go over 30 seconds, but you can also kill enemies, which, because you're not flooded with enemies in Sonic games, also usually doesn't pay off. You just don't stop to kill enemies in Sonic. That's not something that pays off. So what's left to do is getting a lot of rings in the levels, keeping them until the end, and well, that's kind of difficult because you only get the points for the rings after you've beaten the stage with them in hand, and as you may know Sonic, one hit and you lose all your rings, no matter how many you have. So this makes this challenge really tricky, keeping these rings in the actual stages. This challenge was probably harder for me than Contra, or maybe I was just more perfectionist than in Contra. Because yeah, you just want to get a good score. You're always anxious that you could get a bad ranking because of that, because of the score challenge. Keeps you on your toes. Well, I guess it has a certain charm. We've just finished the first act of the Chemical Plant Zone. That stage was a real speedster stage. This one, well, kind of, but not quite as much. Speaking of speedster stages, I like to call Sonic games speedster platformers. Sonic games really have something kind of unique on them, and whenever other developers try to copy the style, they did not get it. They did not get it right. And I think what's the most defining thing about Sonic is that you're actually allowed to have fun in these early stages. They're just portions of the stages where you're allowed to speed through, go through loopings and all that. Technically, from what back then people thought as game design, it didn't really make a lot of sense, but it was just so much fun. It was crazy. So we just entered the second special stage, What I noticed during my runs was that you lose all the rings you had when entering a special stage after you've exited it, so picking up much more than 50 rings before you get into one is not worth it. Now this special stage is a lot tougher than the first one. Still not too bad in my opinion, but still something you have to get used to. Alright, we passed the first checkpoint. Now at this point the game really tries to get you, with bombs popping up in the middle lane for example. If either Sonic or Tails gets hit, they lose rings. The margin for error in this is very small. If Sonic gets hit, it's usually over for you. If Tails gets hit, he usually doesn't have as many rings, so that may happen once or twice. But still, you really have to get good at these stages. Or else you will not have enough rings before the checkpoint, and the special stage will end prematurely. Just like my last date. And of course we wouldn't get the 10,000 point bonus, and that would be really bad for our score, so you really want to do good on these. This final part that we've gotten through now is really bad because the bombs pop up in the middle very suddenly. Yeah, really had to practice this a few times. It really doesn't help that Tails can lose his rings because he's got kind of delayed reactions. He does what you do, but never as good, and that often really gets me. So, we start back at the checkpoint that we just touched. This second portion of the Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 is a lot more platform heavy than actually just speeding through. You actually have to time your jumps so that you don't fall in purple Kool-Aid. That's probably Robotnik's evil master plan, taking over the world with Kool-Aid. I've heard of worse plots than that. With these moving platforms you really have to stop and look at them. I think there may be ways to get through them by speeding, but that's nothing for me. Speaking of these other speedster games, Sunsoft made a few, and I remember this Roadrunner game on the SNES, and it's another one of those that didn't get it right. You were never ever allowed to run in that game. Because of that, it really killed the game. As I said, they just didn't get it what Sonic and Speedster games were about. Oh, here we're coming up to one of the most notorious mad scientists in video gaming, Dr. Robotnik, the greatest mind on all of Mobius. And a very handsome man. No, not really. But, yeah. Playing this once again really reminded me of the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. I think I'm the only person on the planet to actually like that show. Seriously. It's getting a lot of bad rap nowadays. But I don't know. I think it was actually smarter than people think it was. It was just goofy on purpose, and it bathed in its idiocy. Really, I had a lot of fun with that cartoon. And speaking of that cartoon, here's Grounder. Yes, another character in that show. And in this game, I hate Grounder. He is terrible. He really messed up my runs before. Dr. Robotnik, I just screwed over Gesh86's run. Well done. Here, have a promotion. He especially screwed me up in this part because I can just barely get rings, 50 rings before this checkpoint over here. Yeah, you're not allowed to get hit there. If you get hit at the wrong spots in this challenge, the run is basically over. At least it was for me when I was already getting kind of good scores. In my opinion, it's for you to decide how good I really did. And, of course, depending on how the others did. So, the third special stage. Can we do this one? Maybe. This one is very, very tough. It really took me a lot of tries before I memorized this. These special stages really memorization heavy. There are just some that you cannot possibly beat at the first sight. No, seriously not. The middle portion of this one, however, is not so bad. There's just line of rings, and when they end, you jump. What is it with these magic rings that Sonic collects? I really don't get these things. What are they? Maybe they are onion rings, and Sonic just eats them. Nom 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 nom. Come to think of it, there is actually a ROM hack of Sonic 2 called Sonic 2 XL. And in that game you actually do collect onion rings, and if you take too many of them without working off the fat, Sonic comes to a halt. He's just like a really fat sack of blubber and he dies of a heart attack. What, you think I'm making this up? No, I'm not. I really am not. That thing exists. Look it up. Look it up after you're done watching this. Anyway, these bomb rings here, you really have to get the timing done for them. With most you can just jump when the rings end, but I think the second one has a long delay, and it happened to me that I jumped, touched the ground, and then the ring came. Yeah, not funny. Not funny at all. Well, maybe it is for you if you're sadistic. Anyway, that was the third special stage. Maybe we can get a fourth. We'll see. I backtracked a little there to get a few more rings, because there is another checkpoint nearby, but getting to it is kinda tricky. It really is. And it's especially tricky because of this looping coming up here. For some reason I just switched 3D planes. I did not want to do that. At this point you cannot get back to the checkpoint, I think. At least I didn't find a way to actually do so. So it's too bad I couldn't get the fourth special stage. But just gonna have to deal with it. Just gonna try to end this stage with many rings as quick as I can, so that I can get a little bit more score here. The ending part of this is very straightforward. I always bump into that arrow. Luckily I have a shield. Did you just see that? I moon ran. Yeah. Like MJ. Oh, we get a continue at 100,000 points, but we're not gonna spend any of those. Don't worry. Now the Aquatic Ruin Zone 2, I really don't like all that much. There's nothing much that I can do with the time that I have left here, except getting the special achievement. There is a special achievement this week once again. It's called You've Got to Dive to Survive. Now, what could that special achievement be? I think what it is because the 2 is written as a number, it means that we have to have our air counter drop to 2 or below, and only then can we refresh our air. So, first thing I do for this is drowning Tails. I do that for a reason. It is because I'm a jerk and it's funny. But in all seriousness, there was this one time where Tails took one of my bubbles and I drowned because of it. That backstabbing little squirt. I think in that particular game he was secretly Robotnik's ally. Man, Tails, people always kill him in these weird ways because his AI is just so broken. He's got to be one of the most abused characters in video game history. However, I can think of another one in Wind Waker where you had this little bird girl and you could pick her up and throw her around. It was... I always took my time and just planted her face first into walls. It was so funny. Really had a good time back then. You really don't want to be my Robin if I'm Batman, that is. I am not Batman, don't worry. But yeah, I am really the bane of all sidekicks. I really hate the water physics in Sonic 2. Sonic is very heavy. He really can't get any momentum underwater. Even the tiniest slopes will bring him to a halt. It is crazy. Whoa, that was close. That was really, really close. Where did Tails run off to? He hasn't been around for a while. Maybe he's still angry that I drowned him. Probably. But yeah, time is getting short and we're not really getting far. See that slope? That's crazy. Why does Sonic not make that? Oh, can we make it out of the water? Yes, but oh no, the bees. Almost all contestants get hit by these by this pack of bees. What are we, Nicolas Cage? No, of course not. But yeah, our run is almost at an end. We're gonna see Dr. Robotnik for another time, but this fight takes way too long for me. I don't really have the pattern done. We're not gonna beat him in time. 15 minutes are almost up. So, I'm Gish86. This was the Let's Play Summer Blockbuster Week 2, Sonic 2. Bis bald!